A North Shore businessman seems ready to strike a deal with the feds as a widening investigation raises new questions about former Mayor Ray Nagin.
Tomorrow, businessman Frank Fradella is expected to plead guilty to conspiring to bribe a former city official. While the former mayor has not been charged with any wrongdoing, he clearly is the official referred to in court documents. Lee Zurich reports.
Former New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin implicated by businessman Frank Fradella, who had a number of contracts while Nagin was mayor of the city of New Orleans. Fradella will plead guilty on Wednesday inside a federal court. Frank Fradella's attorney Randy Smith says his client will plead guilty Wednesday morning to two charges, one involving securities fraud in Dallas, the other conspiracy to bribe a public official who served as an agent of the city of New Orleans from May 2002 through May of 2010.
And the bill of information refers to that public official as Public Official A.
Is that Ray Nagin?
Well, let's put it this way. The bill of information says the Public Official A served as an agent of the city of New Orleans from May of 2002 through May of 2010. It doesn't name him, and it's not my right to name him. The government, for whatever reason, is calling it Public Official A. But if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's probably a duck, right?
In fact, later in this interview, Smith did directly address Nagin.
There's been a lot of press about, Mr. Fradella's business with Mr. Nagin and with the city. So some of it is, some of it's certainly going to be a part of this.
The federal investigation into Nagin centers on a deal at Home Depot for his countertop company, Stone Age, and whether Nagin's relationship with Fradella helped Nagin land Home Depot work. The bill of information that lays out Fradella's charges is vague. It doesn't address the Home Depot deal.
And it just talks in terms of trying to influence the public official to help with city business, and with the public official receiving benefits in exchange.
Smith says from January of 2007 through March of 2011, Fradella will admit to giving the public official money in exchange for favorable treatment. Fradella's company, Home Solutions, had tens of millions of dollars of city contracts, including work at the airport for the French Quarter sidewalks and the French Market. Did money change hands between Mr. Fradella and Public Official A?
That's pretty much what the bill of information says.
How much money?
Well, the bill of information just says in excess of $5,000, but it was more than that.
One important thing that helps show the relationship between Nagin and Fradella, when I requested Nagin's 2008 calendar a few years back, initially he redacted his meetings with Fradella. He crossed them off the list, the calendar that he gave me. I had to sue the city of New Orleans, and only after the judge ordered the mayor to hand over the actual calendar without the redactions, we were able to tell that in fact Nagin did meet with Fradella and tried to hide that from the media. So that helps show the relationship between Fradella and Ray Nagin. Fradella will plead guilty inside a federal courthouse Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock. Lee Zurich, Fox 8 News.
The listing of Public Official A has all eyes turning to former Mayor Ray Nagin.
Jessica Holly continues our team coverage.
Means he's got big problems.
When it comes to Public Official A, all signs point to former Mayor Ray Nagin.
You could see this coming 2 years ago. We didn't know all the pieces, but you could see this was the direction it was going based upon everything we knew and everything we thought we knew.
Fox 8 legal analyst Joe Raspani says trouble is on the horizon for the former mayor as the feds get their ducks in a row. Former city technology chief Greg Mefford, former city technology vendor Mark St. Pierre, businessman Aaron Bennett, and now businessman Frank Fradella.
It means he's got Mr. Mefford, Mr. Bennett, and Mr. Fradella all singing like Pavarotti in there, and they all tie the noose around him. So it is obvious they're coming after him.
Fox 8 put in calls to Nagin's attorney Robert Jenkins. So far, no response. Raspani says he and Nagin have likely been in contact with the U.S. Attorney's Office, though.
They've already been talking, I'm sure, to Mr. Nagin and his attorney and telling them what they intend to do. And that would be the first time when he has some decisions to make. And if none is made, then I would imagine an indictment's going to be coming down.
If and when that will happen remains to be seen. But according to Raspani, formal charges in this case would likely be tough to beat.
To be able to go to Washington, D.C., to the Justice Department and say we want to indict the mayor of New Orleans or the former mayor of New Orleans, you've got to have a pretty big case.
And again, Nagin wasn't actually named in the new federal bill of information, and at this point, he hasn't been charged related to this case.
And, you know, there's been so much speculation over really the last 18 months to 2 years. I mean, does Raspani have any idea when an indictment might come, or?
Not really. He says federal prosecutors, they move at their own pace, and there's no way to know exactly when the next move will be, but he says today's development certainly moves them closer to a possible indictment.
Okay, thanks, Jessica. Here's a little more on Stone Age LLC. It was a granite countertop installation business owned by Nagin and his family. He got a deal with Home Depot shortly after Katrina. The revelation that Nagin and his wife owned a 40% share in the business brought up ethical questions about the deal with Home Depot at the time. Nagin talked about the deal with Fox 8 4 years ago.
This company was started with private dollars that me and my wife put up, and my sons and my wife basically ran this operation. It provided services to everybody in the city and then beyond the city. Home Depot, we applied to provide services just like any other provider would do. We went through a very exhaustive process. We provided services to stores that I think a lot of them were outside of New Orleans. This particular store that's in question on Claiborne Avenue that they say I have some conflict with, the company, Stone Age, never provided any services to that store.
At the time, Home Depot was negotiating tax breaks with the city for its Central City location. Stone Age is no longer in business.
Nagin did not release a public response as far as the developments involving Frank Fredella. However, during today's proceedings at federal court, the former mayor indicated via social media he is in town. This afternoon, he tweeted that he was back in the New Orleans area from Florida. He also took time out to wish a friend